Alrighty then, g'day guys, and welcome one and all. My name's Michael, I'm the Dead Aussie Gamer, and welcome to Curse of the Crimson Throne, our wonderful adventure, which takes place in the lands of Korvosa, featuring these incredible Patreons who help support my channel and allow me to keep doing the thing that I do. Good morning, everyone. How we doing?
Hello, very well.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Going pretty good.
Yay! It's so wonderful to hear. It has been a hot minute since we've managed to get back to this game, but so I'm super excited to start playing yet again. And I hope that you guys are ready for all of the chaos and the mayhem that will surely follow in today's session. Now, before we begin, guys, we'd like to take a quick moment to thank our sponsors for the show, guys. Thank you to Hero Forge for the wonderful artworks you can see on screen right there, Fantasy Grounds for our VTT of choice, and Sirenscape for the beautiful sounds that you'll hear throughout the course of today's session. Now, we also like to take a quick moment to tell everyone that it is currently September, meaning that there is a 20% discount on all subscriptions, and we are currently doing a push to 200 subs. So anyone who contributes to that is greatly appreciated, and if we do manage to hit the 200 subs, we will do something very, very special during the month of September. We're going to try and get together a big event to do. In addition, I do have another announcement. We did do a fundraiser for a book because I wanted to try a Dag Reads, and we got it. And here, it came in today. It was Emily Rodder's Rowan of Rin. So we're going to be reading this young adult book, which was the first fantasy book that I ever made. So yeah, thank you for helping for the donation goals, and hopefully we can reach the sub goal and keep doing cool and fun things. Now, to kick us off, let's meet the casting and characters for this adventure, starting off with none other than the rootin' tootin' shootin' Padrig, played by the wonderful Twiff. G'day, Twiff.
Hey. Oh, well, Patrick is shooting. He's not necessarily rooting and tooting, but all about the shooting. Patrick is a spell shot gunslinger. He is a half-elf. He grew up in a upper middle class, not quite nobility family. Was going to go to the academy to study to be a wizard. When he got framed by Gadrin Lamb, got kicked out of school, got disowned by his family, discovered he was a half-elf at that time. He's always been able to pass as human. And since then, having got his revenge, he has been trying to do good by shooting things, because that's the best way to help people.
All right, fantastic. Next in our lovely motley crew is Holly, the fairy rogue, played by our dear friend Malakisa.
Hello, I am playing Holly, who is fairy nobility. She decided that she wanted to take off as soon as her parents decided that she needed to get married, because she was having none of that. She wandered on into the city, really having no idea what she was stumbling into, because she's still fairly well convinced that life is a story from one of her adventure books. And she's also firmly convinced that we are the good guys, and the good guys will always triumph. So she brings that sense of optimism into every adventure they get into, even some of the little bits of chaos they might accidentally cause along the way. And with her, as always, is her companion, Penny, the husky. And she's looking forward to having some more fun.
Absolutely amazing. Another member of our group who is currently well and truly on their way to becoming a upstanding and noteworthy member of the citizenship of Korvosan's protectors and guards is the investigator known as Quinn, played by our wonderful friend.
Michael.
Hi, how are ya?
I'm well. How are you? Well, as you mentioned, Quinn is a native to the city of Korvosa and an investigator by class, as well as by trade, typically investigating lost persons and petty crime. She finds herself embroiled in what promises to be a big old political scandal.
Promises. Oh, promises. Yeah, but yeah, no, that'll be a lot of fun to see if that happens. We'll have to come and know more about that as we continue. Unfortunately, yet again, we do not have a Chad with us today, but we do wish him all the best and hope that he will be able to join us soon. And next on our list is Dante. Dante, of course, is our Kitsune druid who is currently on a epic quest to try and find evidence to a drug dealer that has afflicted one of Dante's friends and has managed to get swept up in the whirlwind of adventure here. Dante is played by our friend Rykon, who is currently getting something to drink and some headache medication. By the way, Rykon, if you do need to step away, that is also perfectly fine. We do understand. But yeah, otherwise, you're welcome to also type in chat. And last but certainly not least, playing the role of our newest member, Agnes, is our dear friend Laura Bones.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, Agnes was a mum and a little bit of a psychic and card reader and things like that. And yeah, she's got caught up in this whole affair, almost quite by accident at first. She just really came to see about her friend. And now there's a massive disease in the city.
Yeah, that's very true. But then thankfully, last session, we did go and check up on Agnes's daughter, and made sure that they were taken care of, and yeah, we got some really, really nice insight into Agnes in that game. So.
And now Agnes is like a little fed up with all these terrible things happening to her city.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, yeah. Hopefully, we'll be able to bring an end to it once and for all in due time. All right. Well, the last thing that we wanna bring up is, of course, our biggest sponsor, and by far our favorite sponsor, and that is you guys in the audience. Guys, you are our biggest sponsor, and I want to take a moment to thank you guys for giving up your morning, your time, and coming and watching us today. And hopefully you guys are enjoying everything that we're doing. And if you are, guys, consider donating to the channel. There are a number of ways that you can influence the game as we play, either through channel points, where you can gain things like... why am I so far across? There we go. That's better. Where you can gain things such as insight bonuses, granting inspiration to our players, or even if you wish to, there are a number of ways you can donate extra and more powerful abilities through monetary donations. For $5, you can grant hero points to our players or jinx points to me, which can be used to stave off death, petition the GM for stuff, or roll with advantage. For $10, I will go into my deck of plot twists, and I will get a series of 3 plot twists, and you get to pick one to immediately affect the game. And lastly, then we have our $20 donation, which is, of course, our natural 20. A natural 20 because it's a natural 20. I mean, it is what it is. What's written on the box. Then we have our $50 donation, which is a boss buff for one of the encounters, or a magic item for our group. These are quite powerful items and artifacts, so we appreciate the generosity, but you guys get to decide what that looks like. And lastly, our secret menu item. For $100, the secret menu item for today is a Trial of the Hell Knights. There is an opportunity that will arise that will afford our heroes to prove themselves before the ironclad monsters known as the Hell Knights. And if we get to our secret menu item, which is the $100 donation, we will endeavor to have an entire side quest inserted into the game. This is a custom homebrew side quest, which may or may not, depending on how it goes, involve the opportunity for a member of the party or multiple members to become Hell Knights. So there you go. All right. Well, without any further ado, we find ourselves on the streets of Korvosa. All right. Desolation and despair seems to grip the town. As it coils around, you feel the people as they are more and more growing desperate. With the town's clergy stretched thin enough as is, it is hard to imagine a scenario or a world where this town was once a thriving metropolis of trade, commerce, and the like. Even here at the banks, at the Bank of Abadar, you can feel the pressure. The paladins now keeping back the hordes of masses covered in those red marks over their faces. Clear signs of the affliction known as blood veil. As Padraig, Holly, Quinn, and Dante and Agnes leave the Bank of Abadar, there are lots of people who begin to shout out, "Look, they got cleaned up. They got services. They got removed sickness. You know, you got to let us in as well." The paladins are unmoving and unbudging. But the discontent, which you know is misplaced, they haven't done any of this stuff to you, is just a product of fear and just desperation. All right, in your company, you're traveling with this individual. His name, a Abdaran cleric by the name of Ishani Dahatri. He has asked you to accompany him to the other temples in order to try and unite their forces and allow them to work together in order to try and quell this plague. The other temples in the city are the Temple of Pharasma and the Temple of Asmodeus. There is also a Temple of Shaylin, but again, there are some smaller temples, but these are the top 3 in the city.
Those are some impressive shoes.
They are very impressive shoes. There you go, pointy shoes. But yes, he will defer to you as to which of these places to go to first. And implores you to stay vigil. The reason why he has asked for your aid is not because necessarily... Well, I mean, he will need some help convincing the other churches, but also because it is dangerous at this time to walk around the streets out in the open as a cleric. All right. The scene is yours as you plan your next move.
Well, I think, thinking about it, the Asmodeans are probably going to be the tougher nut to crack. Might have more success if we go to the Pharasmans first, and then if we do get them on board, that will give us a little more, perhaps, leverage with our next target.
That sounds like a good plan to me.
All right. Well, I think then let's go ahead to the Temple of Pharasma.
All right. Journeying south, our heroes begin to travel from the bank through the Midlands and down through Pillar Hill and Highbridge. Eventually, when Michael learns how to move his map... Oh, I can't move it any further. All right, well, I'll just drag it over here there. Eventually, going through the large gates back into the Grey, a section of the furthest south area of Korvosa, which, you recall, our heroes were in when they had to go down into the Dead Warrens in order to try and recover the body of the Shoanti warrior that had been taken. Now, As you arrive at the temple, you see a sprawling cathedral. With large, massive windows. Stained glass windows which seem to depict a spiraling comet. The symbol of Pharasma. There, a garden of various lilacs and beautiful arrays of flowers, all purple and blue in color, cover the gardens here, which are being tended to by the priests and the clerics. This is an impressive sight within the city, and many
I've
people
always
have...
loved this building.
Yeah, and compared to other temples, there are not many worshippers who have come here for healing because, well, the Pharasmans have a tendency to turn away those people because, well, sometimes death is inevitable, and people generally don't want to go to the god of death to try and live. Usually these guys are like, oh no, we'll cast healing spells, but first of all, you need to listen to our discussion on why it might simply be time for you to die. So that is the nature of why it's reasonably clear here at the moment. Also, thank you to Mrs. Bowman for the Jinx point. Let us add it here. Grateful I am for Jinx points. Yay! All right, there we go. All right, I will add it in a moment. But yes, now entering the temple, you can see that there are a few members of the clergy running around. Do you wish to approach?
I mean, that's why we're here.
Yeah, that's what we're here for. Let's do it.
All right, you may do so.
See if we can get the attention of someone and find out who's in charge.
Very well. Turning around, you get the attention of a priest who seems to be lighting several candles on a memorial. The memorial seems to depict a large stone woman. And as you make your claim as to what you require, this individual points you in the direction of a rather enchanting-looking woman who appears thusly. As soon as I move myself out the way here. There it is. All right. An elven woman with purple shawls and her hair tied up seems to be comforting some members of the clergy who sit on various pews. As she sees you arrive, she gestures over to the to a seat for you guys to await your turn. As she finishes speaking with this person. Now, I know that it may be difficult. The issue with your father's death and being unable to pay for the services affording to him is troubling indeed. And I know that with everything going on, it may be quite the choice. Rest assured that no matter what you decide, your father's remains will be taken care of. And we will, of course, need to respect the wishes of the church and the city to keep others safe. But please, my family, my whole family has been buried in the same plot for generations. We can't burn his body just because... I know. It is difficult, but with the plague and with everything as it is, the burning of bodies has become mandatory here at the church. And I'm afraid we cannot keep the bodies, not for the length that you require, and not until we know that there is a potential end to this. This this kind of middle-aged man is just in tears over this. You watch as she gestures over to another priest who comes in to take over with the bereaved as she walks over to you.
Would Holly know anything about like the religion or just society in general in order to be a little more diplomatic?
Sure, if you wish to.
In talking to them?
Sure, if you wish to, you may make a religion check. And while you are making religion checks to find out what you know, I will say that you have been told by your traveling companion that it's that Pharasma is the temple to the goddess of the Pharasma temple is the temple to the goddess of death, fate, and midwives. So primarily they handle things like, like burials and stuff like that. They also hate the undead. They do fight very, very fervently against the undead. But in addition to that, they also believe in things like destiny and one's time. They do, however, also have a strong belief that young life is sacred, and that the death of the young is something to be grieved, because they won't have necessarily reached their full destiny. So they do everything they can to try and help young people grow so that they can fulfill their fates and what have you. All right.
That potentially full society as opposed to religion?
Society would tell you about what the temple services would be. If that would help, I'd be more than happy to give you that, because again, Ishani would probably tell you that. They offer burials. They do offer healing. Not as much as the like kind of putting things to rest. And they slay undead. Those are the primary. Oh, and midwives, of course. They also serve themselves as midwives.
For a moment there, I was worried that you're going to say they slay midwives.
Slay midwives. Yep. All right. Cool. With the religion, all right, Brew.
That's not bad for a flat D20.
That is a flat D20. It's pretty good for a flat D20. You now know a little bit more about the religion, and what I can say is that Pharasmans have a tendency to also believe that when it is your time, it is your time. And their duty is not necessarily to the duty is not necessarily to end the suffering of a person, but more to help them come to accept the death of, or the passing off of of their life, which obviously makes it quite morbid, but you might be able to use that to your advantage if fate is to be at play, or if there is no comfort, that's kind of heartbreaking for them.
Right.
Say interfering with fate.
By, say, a necromancer crafting a plague, which is certainly our suspicion.
Or the fact that we fought against a necromancer in general, that might make them a little more happy towards us.
Well, I mean, I think if we kind of emphasize what we found about, researching on creating diseases and plagues in the lair of a necromancer.
And the fact that people might be interfering with fate would probably rouse them to action.
Right.
We're whispering so she can't hear us.
Yeah.
Not a problem. I'll say that this will be while she's talking to the other guy before
Right.
she's
Yeah.
before she's
All
saying
right.
that.
So who are we going to have try and speak on this? I would do it, but it would probably wind up with them trying to kill us.
You do
Based
have that
on my
effect on
history.
people.
I do have that effect on people.
Mm-hmm.
It's a gift.
Well, I would rely, and here I look at our cleric friend, upon you to provide the details, but I don't mind adding a
Agnes has no
persuasive
problem
voice.
talking. Agnes will talk until the cows come home.
All right, Agnes, you're up.
Whether you want it to is a different matter. We'll let the cleric start.
You've been silenced, wizard, Doug.
God damn it. All right, very well. The cleric arrives. As she does so, she greets you warmly. Hail and well met. I see that that you come in the company of a cleric from the Temple of Abadar. It is good to see you and welcome, fellow servant of the cloth. And she kind of nods at Ishani. Yes, no, we have come. I mean, on behalf of the Temple of Abadar. I see. And what would the Temple of Bankers want with the likes of us? I'm fairly sure that I'm fairly sure that we have paid all of our bills and kept up to date with all of our accounts currently. Oh, this is not really that type of business. Well, actually, we're hoping that maybe in order to deal with this sickness, that we could. I'm going to stop you here. I know what you're going to say, and I'm afraid it's something I cannot help with. You see...
Oh, why is that then, dear? Oh.
The Temple of Abadar has long since created a world in which the populace has become enslaved to their financial crises. While trade and commerce is, of course, very important, there are many who can heartlessly watch as those around them suffer if their pockets are too light. There are many people here who hold and harbor great resentment towards the banks. And, well, this temple is a place of comfort. With the temple itself right now being one of the major sources of comfort to the people, to try and associate with such a negative force within the city, I'm afraid that we would lose a great deal of the people who come to our temple simply because of our association with the Temple of Abadar.
But wouldn't you say that you're going to lose a lot more if you don't work together? I mean, this plague is a little indiscriminate.
Well, this may be the case. At present, we are stretched very thin, and there are very few clerics who are able to practice the arts of the removal of sickness. But we also have our resources that need to be maintained for burials and proper sanctifications of the dead. If we were to assist and put all of our resources towards such an endeavor, then how would we ensure that we could provide the services our church has responsibilities to?
Surely, if you don't have... So if you only have a very few who can help with curing sickness, that's not all of your clerics, right? You'll still have some who can perform the rites while working together to lessen the amount of rites of burial maybe that you have to perform.
This is true. I definitely believe that we would have a small amount to be able to contribute. But should these people be brought before us and at the altar to Pharasma, Or will they be asking the church itself to come and pose as clerics to a different god? No. What we're hoping to do is maybe create a hospice where members of all the different churches are able to come together, and if they come together, they can use whatever they can in order to try and rally the people and give them hope, give them an opportunity to be able to see a healer. So you, as the Abdaran Temple, would not claim any form of creditation to this endeavor? You would equally share the what's the word? Not glory. You would equally share the attributions from the other churches. You see that Ishani looks a little bit nervous. You kind of think that maybe he's overstepping, as in he's not really saying what. Because remember when you were back at the other temple, the other clerics of Abdar were kind of just pushing him out the door to kind of get him away. The idea that publicity, that's the word, publicity, that the publicity of the united front of clerics is going to be the responsibility of, like, hey, we're all working together, doesn't actually sound very Abdaran. It sounds like maybe what they'll do is they'll say, yeah, no, we put everyone together and we are the ones who saved the city. And, that's kind of what you get from that previous experience.
I think ultimately, for every temple, for every religion, you need to have worshippers. Abdar's temple is not going to be able to engage in regulating commerce if everyone dies from a plague and the economy crashes. As far as you can be overwhelmed with the need to perform rites, and maybe not even be able to give the proper ones because you've got to deal with plague victims. Moreover, we have strong reason to believe that this plague is not natural.
What do you mean?
Recently recently found ourselves recovering a body for the Shoanti, which led us to the lair of a necromancer who seemed to be very intently studying disease and the creation thereof. Now, we did not find him there, only his undead, unnatural creations, which we took care of. But with what he was looking at and what he was researching, it seems highly coincidental to suddenly have a sudden plague assault the city. I know that's not solid, irrefutable proof. Like I said, it's just suspicion. But as far as suspicions go, I think it's a pretty solid one.
Well, while it definitely seems as though the Abdarans have their own agenda, it is not against our motivations to be able to work together and try to alleviate this affliction. If it were a natural affliction, then perhaps it may simply be the time that this city has something like this occur, and accepting it is the goal, and getting people to accept this is our purpose. But if this is a affliction brought on by the hands of someone, by someone who has ill intent, then that is a different matter altogether. If you can prove that there is someone or some force engineering or orchestrating this disease, then you would have our help, unequivocally. For now, however, with the limited resources we have, I can only offer but a handful of clerics.
Well,
We would certainly not say no to any help.
right. Small help is better than no help.
And also, just remember, I mean, if at the end of the day, this, disease spreads through the city, well, if you had the chance to do something and didn't, you might lose more followers and not just from death. I'm just saying. That goes for all of you, she says, staring at the other cleric as well.
The Abdaran looks at you and says, I can't promise that we'll find evidence before, well, we are in need, but I do understand the responsibilities that your temple lies. If I were in your shoes, and the same were asked of the Temple of Abadar, then I probably would have had the same response. If we can find evidence, would you... The Pharasman cleric nods and she says, yes, by all means, I would attribute the full force of the Pharasman temple to aid you.
All right. Well,
This is excellent news. We can do this.
we're good at finding things out. Mostly.
Yeah, but in time. I mean, how long have we
Well-
got realistically?
Well, she's pledged a small amount of help for now.
All right, could I have
small?
a volunteer to write down a couple of things? So basically, the way this book is actually going to work is there are a number of things that will happen in order to save members of the populace.
I write the things down.
Sweet.
I've got it.
Yeah, I've got a note.
Even if
so we'll
multiple
all
people write it
them
down, that's fine. So what I want you guys to write down is that you have got 6 clerics of Pharasma healing people, like, full-time. So that's 6 clerics of Pharasma. That's what you have at the moment. This will help reduce the amount of lost life by the end of the book. Based on how you do throughout the course of the adventure, will determine like the end game. So basically, if you save like tons and tons and tons of people, there's one ending, but there's actually an ending where you save nearly no one.
Ooh.
I don't like that ending.
Yeah. If
Ollie's not
All
going to do
right.
well.
So if we're able to persuade this lovely cleric of Pharasma that someone is in fact interfering with the hands of fate, how many more clerics might we get?
you would get 30 clerics.
30?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh damn.
Yeah. Basically,
Well-
because it's one element is if you thanks, buddy. If you what's the word? If you bring proof, specifically, it has to be hard proof. Then you will get that boost of like 30 clerics. But let's say you don't, and that you just let everything run rampant. You'll still the adventure still continues on, but it just means that things will be harder much later on down the track. You know what I mean? It's like kind of like those Telltale games. That's what I'm thinking of. Those Telltale games where it's like so and so will remember this, and then later on down the track something happens. So
Right.
we just need to keep track of that.
I turn to the cleric. What manner of proof might satisfy you?
Well, any hard evidence that there is a clear
He's the son of Gadrin Lamb. And we found him in the cemetery not too far from here.
But is he in?
We could escort you there.
Is he in captivity? Do you have this man?
He was not there at the time. No. He is not in captivity.
Do you have?
We have not yet.
Do you have any of the notes or the information that may have led you to believe that?
Did we take anything from the library?
We have the books. We have the plague books.
Those books are on general plagues and afflictions. Like there's
right, but we don't have his personal notes. We didn't look for or take those, but we did take the plague books.
Yeah, specifically, you'd have to
specifically on him too.
Yes,
we'd have to go back.
Well, Gadrin wasn't there, and you did search quite thoroughly, and they were experimenting with blood, but you didn't actually find anything with this specific disease, if that makes sense.
Right, or any notebooks.
Yeah.
We don't recall seeing any notebooks.
Yeah, and given that that Gadrin's assistant was defeated several days prior to the first affliction, the odds of because remembering where the spread started, several days later after the execution attempt and all that sort of stuff, it's unlikely that anything that I can't even remember what the little Darrow's name was, whatever his name was. It's unlikely that he had anything with him that would serve as evidence. You would likely have to investigate a little bit.
Right.
It's a good thing we've got an investigator.
Oh, sure, no pressure.
That being said, Holly did spend all of her downtime using her contacts trying to find Rolf. Did she get any
Rolf Lamb, thank you.
Yeah. Did she get any information on where Rolf might be hiding out?
No. Rolf has gone to ground since the death of his father, knowing that someone or something had been going after his family. That is the only information you have. Jakagan, who is, of course, your chemist friend, says that there are several orders coming through by his name, but obviously Jakagan's a professional and doesn't share where these shipments are going, but just that Rolf is still in the city and he is I don't know, he's doing something with chemicals.
Wonder if we would go stake out Jakagan's place, follow one of his couriers, or see who comes and goes.
Potentially.
I think that might be something that we could possibly do. For now, though, I think we'll take what we can get from here. Try our hand with the Temple of Asmodeus. And then
wait, wasn't there another temple that might be easier than Asmodeus to go to next?
No, I think there was just the two that were mentioned, Pharasma and Asmodeus, right?
Yeah.
Oh, there was a hunter as well, wasn't there?
Yeah, I thought there were three.
Aristil. Aristil is a little bit outside and is another temple that definitely you can go to. These are the three major ones, if that makes sense. But yeah, Aristil would be the next good one, because they also have a lot of healers, and survival is kind of one of their big key points.
Let's do that one next and let's save the Asmodeans for last.
Okay.
Fair.
Before we leave, Agnes would like to speak to the cleric of Pharasma.
Oh, yes, my dear.
No, well, I couldn't help but overhear the plight of that family before. Is it more a case that they cannot bury the body because you have to, burn it because of the plague, or more that they couldn't afford the burial?
Well, truth be told, we would need to purify the corpse, a service that costs quite a tidy sum. It's actually 200 silver to have a body purified in such a way.
Yes, that's quite a bit. But I was wondering, as a bit of a compromise, could you not just offer to perhaps bury some of the ashes in the plot? I mean, I know it's not exactly the same, but it was just a thought. It might help.
He ponders she ponders your suggestion, says, it would be unusual, as we are, of course, dealing with so many different groups, and
these are unusual times.
She looks at you, and she sees somewhat of like a Pharasman in you, like someone who cares about young people and the community and stuff. She says, "I will see what we can do."
Thank you. In times like this, it's good if we can just help each other where we can. And she kind of just pats her on the hand.
You see that she has actually quite a lovely smile, and as she looks in your direction, she nods and goes back to speak with the other family.
And this one is all to everybody else. Right then, where to next?
All right, Dante. You are familiar with the direction you need to go, as you are very aware of the Temple of Aristil. The Temple of Aristil is a temple of the the god of the hunt, god of communities, god of family, and god of protection. This place that you're heading to is is kind of like a. It's actually more akin to a fishmonger's. It is on the docks, and it's on the docks, and you can see that there are a number of different, it's not really a building to worship, but more like it's a community. There are several shrines to Aristil that are placed around by the various people who work on the docks, and there are people here who all kind of worship Aristil. There is one man by the name of Old Dan Bailey, that is and he is not a priest or not the clergy per se. It's very difficult to explain because they're not really a church like that. But you kind of get where I'm going with it. It's like this dude is the person you'd
as close to a leader for that community.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. You are quite familiar with Dan. He is a fisherman, and quite a jovial and friendly character. Now, as you make your way towards the docks, if there's anything you guys would like to discuss, you may do so now.
That did not go quite as swimmingly as I would have liked.
What do we know about the next group that might make them want to participate?
Yeah, wholeheartedly. Not just a scant showing of support, but all in efforts.
All right.
I think.
Well, I mean, the gods always squabble amongst themselves. It only makes that their followers do it.
Right. I think what we need to emphasize, and we'll turn to our cleric friend, is that the Church of Abadar is not in this for glory and notoriety, but that it is a true coming together of all the religions to work together as equals to help the city, because if there's no city, everyone's going to suffer.
And then I think we need to convince the Abdarans of that as well.
I understand.
Oh, not you, dear. I believe you have the right intentions. It was those other ones with the loud, unpleasant voices.
Well, it's not their fault. It's very difficult. There is such a fine line between what we do as members of the church and what we do for our own gain. They mean well at heart. Everyone starts in the same way. We want to help people and families and communities, but it's very easy to lose sight. Trade and commerce and invoking it soon takes over the idea of building the community. I hope that you won't think of the church too poorly based on those few people.
No. It's something that you have to convince, I suppose, and work through within the ranks, that understanding that trade and commerce is always going to be more robust the more people that can participate in it. And so if you exclude those who may not have the advantages of, say, the wealthy or the noble, that's going to limit who can worship and who can participate in trade. Those are ideas that need to make their way up to the top of your clergy. And, I get the sense that there might be ideas that you have, otherwise you would not be asking us to accompany you on an altruistic quest. It's also why we're happy to help you, because I think we understand and are of like mind that helping the people, all of the people, benefits everyone. If everyone benefits, well, what's the downside of that?
Absolutely. As you converse, you have made him a lot happier. He definitely has been quite worried and concerned about your basically your opinions on things, but more specifically just like what the Pharasman priestess said about the Abdarans. And their kind of very selfish goals kind of sits, kind of sits way too close to home for him.
Yeah.
It isn't.
Well, if you're looking to
Oh, sorry, go on.
if you're looking to make a change in how your temple runs, I think that this is a good place to start. And if you can get it so that everyone's working together without the Temple of Abdar trying to take credit for it, but really a partner of equals, that might help change the reputation that your temple may have, which, if I'm not wrong, seems to be something that you're looking to do.
Yes. Yes, it is. I mean, it's why I volunteer much of my time to helping the populace without using my clerical abilities. It's very much frowned on for an Abdaran cleric to offer services without recompense, but he seems to be kind of embarrassed almost. Like, I wish I could offer more, but I don't. But yeah.
I think what maybe you need to consider is that recompense can take many forms. And recompense may sometimes be deferred and come down the road. You help someone maybe when they're in a time of need and cannot pay with cash, but they can pay other ways.
Make them pay.
And
You got paid in pot.
and if they can offer you something else, even if it's just their own life and service down the road, that can benefit better in the long term than in the short term.
You speak very wisely, and I will hold your counsel in high regard, Patrick.
Oh, my I suppose they're ex-family since they kicked me out, but my former family caused me to, and their actions towards me caused me to spend some time thinking about this. Anyway, to the task at hand.
Indeed. At this point, you arrive at the docks. A lively scene unfolds at the docks. Let's see, where are you guys? There we go.
I love that he's in the middle of the plague. There's some sailor standing on the docks with an accordion.
All right. Yeah, yep. All right. So you guys are currently. Why can't I? I feel like they've up and changed some of this. Oh, there we go. Okay, good. All right. So you've made it all the way back to the West Dock in Midland, and you hear the sounds of people, working on the small river rafts, yelling out, "Oi! Watch it! We've got a new load coming in! You're gonna have to use the other dock! Ah, this is my dock! Ah, it's your dock up your arse, you bastards!" As, you see people, kind of throwing rope at each other. You can see that they're pulling in their haul for the day. For a moment, you almost forget that there's a plague. There do not seem to be many of the sick and injured here. And as you arrive, you can see that there's one person who seems to be sitting over a large desk, kind of standing, almost like he's massive. As a human, he's sitting at maybe 6'6". And this is who you see. As his kind of salt and pepper beard kept beneath a flat cap, kind of big, broad shoulders, muscly arms. This person says, "Okay, listen. These fishing grounds, they're running dry. Okay, we're gonna have to go further out into the reef, and I don't want to hear any back talk. Okay, just get it done, and we'll make sure that everyone's got enough food and supplies to last a few weeks. Yeah." You watch as several of the fishermen begin to go to their boats and the like. He takes off his flat cap, rubs his hair, and he turns and he says, "Dante, is that you? Honestly, I didn't think I'd see you back in town so soon."
Well, a lot has been going on.
I'll say. I heard that you were mixed up in all that business with the what's her name? The bird what killed the king. Who are your friends?
I stick my hand out. I'm Quinn. Hi, how are you?
Ah, pleasure to meet you, Quinn. Call me Dan. Folks here call me Old Dan. And he reaches down and he grabs you by the forearm and starts kind of giving you the old woodsman chop as a firm handshake.
It's good to meet you, old Dan.
I take a look and I don't offer my hand, but I wave. Hi, I'm Holly.
He waves at you and smiles. His mouth is just filled with these huge, very pearly white teeth. And he says, "Ah,
I will.
a fairy. Them supposed to be good luck on the high seas. Pleasure to meet you, Holly."
Everywhere.
Don't get any ideas there, Dan.
I'm gonna
He's our
snorks
friend.
at the good luck thing. And here under her breath, she just goes, "Maybe he's at sea, but certainly not on land."
Patrick will offer his hand for the shake. Say hi, Patrick.
And he'll also give you kind of another one of these firm handshakes. He says, "Well, you know what? Around these parts, any friend of Dante's, a friend of old Dan. And who?" He sort of stops and sort of, you see he sort of takes his hat off. He's like, "And who is this enchanting figure?" He says, looking at Agnes. Ah, the strong and silent type, I see. It's just how I like him.
Rendered her
Sorry,
speechless.
Agnes will blush slightly and like just pat her hair and just go, oh, I'm Agnes.
Oh, well, Agnes. This time, he doesn't shake your hand. He kind of like takes it like a gentleman. He says, well, it is a pleasure to meet you, Agnes, and kisses you on the back of the hand.
Agnes will like titter. And I put a hand over her mouth as if like surprised that the sound came out.
Dan says, Dante's not one for social calls in the city, so I imagine you'll all be needing something. We've got some fresh halberd that just got brought in today, and, for any of Dan's friends, we can do some leathering for you if you need.
Well, our friend there actually has another question to ask you. If you have a few moments to chat with us.
Why?
And I kind of gesture to Ashani.
Yes, hello, I know who you are, boy. Good to see you. What can we do for the Temple of Abadar now? Well, I'm sure you're aware that currently the city is in a crisis. There's a plague that has gripped much of the city, and well, the Temple of Abadar is struggling to. Yeah, I can only imagine you're struggling. Look, I don't mean to be rude about this, but if you ask me, it's all that money changing hands on the land. You see, out at sea, we change favors. We look after each other with the strength of our arm. When people start to rely on money and coin, well, it's no wonder that the sickness spread so fast. I'm just joking with you, lad. Jeez, calm down. No. I know what you're here about. In fact, I'm surprised that I hadn't heard from the other temples yet already. You see, Aristil, the old one, is all about community and your family as much as anyone else. I will help you, but we will need something in return. And don't take this in any poor sense, but a lot of the fishermen here, a lot of the people who set out to sail and hunt, well, they're a bit behind on some of their payments, if you follow my meaning. If they can get a few months off their levy, then I'm sure they'd be more than willing to take some time off the sea. Well, that's, I can definitely speak to the temple and see if that's something we can arrange. You do that, lad. You speak to the temple and you let us know. Because, if we are going to help and use our resources to try and heal folks, then we need to be able to find some other way to put food in our bellies. There's no point in having one group starve for another.
Well, that seems really reasonable.
Indeed, and
I didn't even have to go into the big sob story about ill and feeble seamen. That is good.
That's a good one. I still want to hear it.
I think that was pretty much the story right there.
Dan's laugh is infectious and bellowous as it shakes throughout. He says, "No, listen. Aristil is not one of those gods who sends people off to fight wars and do battles. You see, Aristil is a god of agriculture, farming, tilling the land, working the sea. These are the defining traits of the company that Aristil keeps. We tame nature so that we can bring prosperity to the community, and of course, if everyone is sick, then the community can't be prospering. And we want to find any way we can to restore peace to the city, and would be more than happy to lend a hand. But for now at least, we do need to keep our own overheads so that we can keep our own families tended to.
We'll accompany Ashani to speak with the temple. But in the meantime, is there any small aid you could offer as a gesture of goodwill?
Well, nothing particularly beyond my promise as a man of the sea. Our clerics don't often prepare such spells and abilities to help with sickness, mostly because that's not the nature of our work. But rest assured that one way or another, tomorrow we will ensure that that during the mass and during the prayers, we will be readily available with all the resources needed to lend aid.
And I'm sure that with Ashari's help, we can prevail upon the Temple of Abadar to understand that the dead cannot pay their bills.
No, they can't.
And so if you take a few deferred payments or give a little bit of grace while dealing with a crisis, it's always going to wind up with more people alive to help with commerce.
Of course. Without the fisher, what's it called? Fishing guilds? Fisher guilds? Without the guilds here down on the docks, there would be no trade in which to commerce. So, yeah, I'm fairly confident in the results that'll come from here. And remember, boy, we're not trying to get out of our payments, though. You know, if that's what you negotiate, I wouldn't be too admissed by it. But simply a delay on the payments and allowing our fisher folk to help out and then regain what they need. Yes, I'll have a word and I'll see what I can do. Thank you, Dan. Oh, please don't thank me. Thank good old Dante here. Dante's helped me and the family more than one occasion, and it'd be rude of me to deny an old friend aid in his time of need.
I noticed that plague seems less around here. Is that mostly because you don't spend much time in the city? Or...
Oh, aye. I mean, barely half of these people don't know how to walk on land straight. Nothing to do with all the rum, but yes, no. We spend a lot of our time out on the harbor, or at least further out in the harbor than the last couple of nights. You heard about the yellow light?
Yes.
Aye. Well, the yellow light.
Business.
The yellow light that happened caused a rioting explosion in the middle of the night, and some of the fishermen are a bit too superstitious to want to go near, at least until the guards go check it out or something happens. But there's still plenty of fish within the Jagar River.
Where exactly did this yellow light come from?
Oh, well,
if you could refresh my memory.
Well, some of the folks said it came from a large boat that was sailing into the waters of the river. I've got a friend of mine who worked the guard post that night who says they weren't responding to hails and signals and eventually had to be sunk by the cannons of the city. But fisher folk, there talks of crude by the dead, the damned souls of all the old fishermen bringing misfortune, all that. Lots of stories and tales.
Do any of the stories and tales mention whereabouts it actually got sank?
Oh, I can do you one better. He points you.
I'll mark it on your map.
He points you. Yeah, he points you up the river, and says, "All right, you see the North Bridge."
We do.
There you go. Just north of the North Bridge, between the main shore and Trail's End.
You mean V4, which goes to wreck of the
Yeah, almost like that exact spot.
splendid.
He says, yes, it was there that the thing went down, or at least that's if of course the rumors are to be believed. But yeah, that's where you want to be heading.
All right.
But of course, don't take anything from this old salt's rumors. It's all just fairy tales and folklore. But be sure to stop by as well if you need to get yourself some fish or anything else that the bountiful rivers and seas have to offer.
Splendid. Thank you, Dan.
Oh,
We will.
my pleasure. And hopefully we'll be seeing each other very soon. He says, kind of giving a wink to Agnes.
Agnes winks back.
Dan blushes. All right. All right. Unless there's anything further, you will leave the West Dock.
Oh, actually, that yellow light, that was our little off-screen side adventure thing, wasn't it? Just out of character.
There was mention of
Or
it.
not?
It was there was mention of it in the side adventure. Yeah.
Huh.
It wasn't the exploding warehouse though.
Oh, okay.
But in our
not.
conversation,
I take her.
as we
So I think Agnes will just say, she'll like, oh, and the yellow light there. It wasn't monsters or undead or anything like that. It was something far worse. It was, well, humans with good intentions.
Why? All right. Well, nothing's more dangerous than good intentions. You know what they say about them?
The road to hell and all that.
And with that very, very ominous foreshadowing, you begin to make your way to the Temple of Asmodeus.
I sort of lean over to Agnes and say, sort of sotto voce, why, Agnes, you little minx.
Just giggles and she goes, well, I'm not getting any younger.
Understood. He was quite handsome.
Wasn't he? Oh.
Dan is also about
Okay.
your age as well.
So what do we have on this temple that might help us? What do we know? What do we got?
All right.
well,
Knowledge, religion.
as far
There
as
you go.
yeah, as far as conversation as we're walking too, if it was a ship that got sunk and where it got sunk, if it came in from the sea, that would lead its path all around the shores of Old Korvosa where this seemed to start, and also it would make sense to have it show up in Trail's End as well, just across the river there, where we were first aware of it. I don't think
And-
it's coincidental. I think it's something that we definitely need to check out, especially if we're looking for hard evidence of unnatural manipulation going on.
It's also where all of the homeless people were targeted.
Yep.
And that seems to be what the plague seems to be targeting. So
I
I
agree.
really
That's a thread I really want to pull on.
So
Yeah.
after we get done with this temple, I really think that's the first thing we need to check out.
Yep. I
But the
think so
temple's
too.
next. So we need to figure out how to deal with this temple.
Shani, any advice?
All right. Well,
Did you say religion checks to find out about?
so religion checks will
Asmodeus?
give you extra stuff, but I will give you some basic stuff to begin with. So, what you know about the Temple of Asmodeus? Now, as the name implies, it is a temple to the god and the Dark Prince themselves, a lawful evil deity who has only been corroborated and described as a angel-like creature from the Book of the Damned. This is one of the oldest beings in the multiverse, and his temple and areas of concerns are of pride, slavery, tyranny, and contracts. The thing about Asmodeus and his worshippers is Cheliax, which is technically the matriarchal, because Korvosa is technically a vassal city to Cheliax, and Cheliax, the royal family, worship Asmodeus, which is why there's a temple here. They believe in tyranny, of course. They believe in slavery. Yep, they are very prideful. And everything is lawful. Everything is held together by contracts and negotiations and the like in order to basically rule over the areas that Cheliax runs. Now, what you know about the temple themselves is that they're not madmen. They're not just evil for the sake of evil. You can't enslave dead people. You can't rule over the miserable, you know what I mean? Like, you have to be productive. You have to, like, there's a certain level of like sensibility around many of the temples. Most people mistake Asmodeans for the Zonkuthonians, who are the kind of evil, like torture, violence, and kind of stuff like that. But Asmodeans can be very reasonable. However, working with an Asmodean is like working with like an evil genie, right? You have to be very careful about how you word things. You have to be very careful about how you negotiate things, because once you are locked into a contract, it is something that both your life and your soul may be dependent on. They don't everything is also not a soul contract. You know what I mean? Like, like they buy a loaf of bread. They won't tell you to sell your soul for it. Like it's reasonable stuff. The soul trade stuff is generally like kind of like the upper echelon things, the world changing type things. It's like, I want my life to be good forever. Oh well, like, hey, I can help you do that, and like that type of thing. But if you're like, hey, we need a favor, I need you to help me move my furniture from one place to another, he might say, cool, I'll call in a favor for you later on, and then you might find yourself smuggling some refugees out of the city, or you know what I mean, like like the contracts will hold. That's kind of what you know about them on the surface. As for your religion checks, with a glorious 28 on your religion, you would know that the temple of Asmodeus here is run by a man by the name of Barat. And Barat is a worshipper of not only the Asmodeus, but also he is a fervent scholar in the wizarding ways of the Rune Lords, the seven sins that surround the Rune Lords. He uses as a kind of as a template in order to reside in his life, believing that that good things happen when one relinquishes themselves to sin. So he's all about temptation more than anything else. That's what Agnes knows about Barat.
Intriguing. Who doesn't love a hedonist?
Oh.
Yeah, Agnes will fill them in on this information as they walk. It might be a bit of a slippery one, this one. Although if we can appeal to one of his sins, perhaps.
But which?
All
right. Your journey takes you and confronts you with música. Por favor. That's a bit intense. Calm down.
Sounds like something you'd be using for a cliffhanger.
I know, right? All right, here we go. Now, the temple before you is bright red with black pillars that stretch up to what looks to be a ruby-encrusted symbol of Asmodeus, an upside-down pentagram. Here you can see that there are very few people, even compared to the Pharasman Temple as to before. And as you approach, there is this almost sickly sweet smell of incense that lingers in the air to the Asmodean Temple. As you open the doors, on the inside, you are greeted by this handsome individual. Well, hello, darlings. Welcome to the Temple of Asmodeus. How may I service you this lovely day?
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing exceedingly well. I've just returned from my daily slug bath. It was invigorating.
So very happy to hear that. We are serving as escort to this fine gentleman, and I gesture to Ishani.
Well. A cleric of Abadar, right here in my very own parlor. This must be a fortuitous meeting indeed, darling. Tell me, what can Madame Brat do for you? And he watches as they lean in and sort of stroke Ishani's chin. Ishani's on fire. No, come over here. There you go. All right.
So say that was enormously effective.
All right.
You must know your secrets, darling.
It was very. All right. Ishani turns and says, "Yes, yeah. Well, you see, Madam, Mister, please, my friends call me Barat. Say it. Barat. It's I come on behalf of the Temple of Abadar, who are seeking to gain help from the other temples of the city of Korvosa in order to stop the plague that currently grips our fair city." "You don't say, darling. And you've flown here in order to ask for my help. Well, I'm touched. Of course, what kind of person would I be if I denied such a fruitful young buck my tender help?" Okay. Well, so you'll help us and well, we need some clerics to, Yes, of course I will help, but you know that there's always fair compensation, darling. And what might my golden-clad man want to offer for the help of the Asmodean Temple? Well, you see, I, help? Please?
I'm just sort of laughing in the background a little bit. You doing okay there, Shani?
No! Bad man! Stranger danger! Stranger danger!
What sort of terms might appeal to you, Borat?
Ooh, well, a number of things jump to mind, darling, but, well, you see, the temple has been in quite some need for quite some time. And, well, if you wish for the aid of the Asmodean Temple, then I would need to speak to the powers that be in order to reinforce my constituents. If you were to aid, then it must be publicly known that the Temple of Asmodeus were responsible for, let's say, the whole idea. If people were to view the Asmodean Temple in less of a grim light, then people might see that it's actually a place that brings joy and wonder.
You know, that isn't a bad idea, but I fear we might have difficulty persuading the others. Now, on the other hand, people might view you much more favorably if they perceived that you were investing yourself in the city, and they would view that as a certain kind of greatness too, far separate from concocting the whole idea. I'm hoping that no one will take credit. That would be gauche.
Make a diplomacy check.
Okay. I will do that. Come on, big numbers, no whammies.
Whoa!
27.
27.
That was almost a 2.
Nice. I know. It hovered there, didn't it?
It did a little bit. All right.
Scary.
Barat moves over to you and looks at you. You see that his eyes have sort of become a bit more bug-eyed as he's like kind of looked at you, and he says, "My dear, the tongue on you, naughty, naughty, saying all the things that I want to hear. Say, I don't believe you don't have a god at the moment that you worship, do you? Because perhaps, maybe I could be convinced to lend my aid for your clerical duties."
Well, I do a bit of stenography, but you know, as it so happens, I am shopping about.
Oh, well, darling,
We've seen a lot.
If you attend
Yes.
my 3-day seminar on the benefits of a life of joy among the Asmodeans, then of course I'll help, darling.
All right. When is your next seminar?
Well, that depends. Right now we're closed for plague reasons, which is bad for business.
It is bad for business, isn't it? Just another reason to help.
Indeed. I'll tell you what. Here.
Make sure it isn't a PowerPoint presentation first, because they're torture.
Oh, it's absolutely a PowerPoint presentation. This is gonna get you into it.
He's gonna sell you a timeshare.
It's a timeshare in hell. Like he says, "Very well, darling. I accept, and I will, of course, offer the full help of the Asmodean Temple, which sadly only involves myself. Although, there's a reason why there's only one cleric here. Myself, I am quite capable, and will ensure to offer the finest of luxury services. And you, my dear, what is your name?"
I'm Quinn.
"Excellent, Quinn. Then we have an arrangement. You attend the seminars for 3 days, and the Asmodean cleric, myself, helps with your save the world endeavor."
Splendid.
He watches. He stretches out a gloved hand towards you, as if to shake it.
Yes. I resist cringing. And I extend my hand in return to shake.
All right. As you shake, you kind of feel.
I know this is wrong. This is so bad.
You see you watch as the fires and the candles in this room suddenly like flicker, for a fleeting moment, as he then says, "Excellent. I'll go pack my things. The leeches don't like traveling, but they'll have to make do."
Oh no. We got one for those doctors.
Oh no, the leeches aren't for them, darling. The leeches are for me.
I see.
Now I can't, unfortunately. Like, by the way, Hero Forge, yay! Hero Forge sponsor. Bam, bam, bam.
Explain
Go
why
check out
he's
Hero
so
Forge.
pale.
Hero Forge, Hero Forge is great, and I love Barat, and I love how he came out. But Barat is actually a bloat mage, as well as a cleric. So he's actually two different things. So first of all, as a cleric of Asmodeus, he has like powers and abilities, yada yada yada. But as a bloat mage, he actually has sorcerer powers from leeches that he uses as blood components for blood magic. So he actually bloodlets himself and then uses them like potion bottles, basically. So
Makes sense.
yeah,
Use them.
yeah. So basically, instead of having like one cleric with like, like a dozen healing spells, he would have like literally just like a ton of the blood of clerics in leeches, which he would then just go, cool, squish, there we go, you've got your healing spell now, and then yeah, it's gross, but it's
Man, that is
It's
messy.
totally gross.
it's gross, but that's
Gross but effective.
yeah. I love bloat mages. I think they're a very underrated class in Pathfinder. But they're so much fun. They're so much, I love, I don't know. I love like my evil characters weirding people out. All right. Cool. Well, you've successfully managed to convince the three temples, Pharasma, Aristal, and Asmodeus to at least consider joining. The Asmodeans have joined wholeheartedly, so long as Quinn attends the seminar.
In terms of notes that we're keeping, like what are we adding? What have we accumulated as we've gone on?
Oh,
here?
okay. So write down. So for the extra notes, Dan hasn't helped yet. So Dan will help once you get those passes off. The Pharasmans will give more once the proof has been found, and the Asmodean has given you the Asmodean cleric. So that is that. I will add in something here. It hasn't come up yet, but it will in a moment. Is that you will also need the blood of a high cleric in order to boost it up. So right now, just write down Asmodean cleric, and then for the quest on that one, just write down blood. He won't bring it up yet, but I know I will forget about it later on because I'll have tons of games by the time it comes up.
Oh, goody.
But yes, he will need blood later on. Quinn, before you leave.
Yes.
Time to attend
Sir.
your sermon.
Darling, wait. I completely forgot. I have a tiny gift for you.
I'm not really.
Oh, come
One-
now. This is no strings attached.
Okay. Then I thank you.
He reaches down into his pocket and pulls up.
Okay.
And pulls up. No, bad. And pulls up what looks to
Sorry.
be a contract. As he does so,
Interesting.
he begins to read out the contract out loud. The language he speaks is kind of like this almost guttural language. And you watch as fire begins to ignite and rise and roil, building up more and more as he continues to speak. And as he does so, a circle appears on the ground before you. Emerging from said circle
Mm.
is this.
Oh no.
It is.
I can't see.
It is an imp. Let me move some portraits around real quick. Boop. All right, there we go.
You know, I'm not very good with pets.
Oh, darling, this is not a pet. This is a slave, a servant who'll do your every bidding. Quite useful little creatures, this. And, of course, my little friend here will ensure that you stay nice and safe until you attend the seminar.
He'll keep me safe.
Yes, indeed. He'll also do...
So if I get into a situation where I might die, he'll keep me alive?
Well, he can't heal you, but he will come to your defense, yes.
Oh.
Close enough.
How sturdy is he?
Hey, listen! I'm about as sturdy as I need to be, okay?
Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. I didn't know I could talk directly to you. That must have seemed very rude.
That was incredibly rude. I just came up here from hell. But a deal's a deal, right? Yes, of course, my little scrumdiddlyumptious thing, you. Now you simply be a good boy and make sure that our dear friend Quinn here attends my seminar. If you fail at your task, you know what happens. You see him, audibly swallow as he goes, yeah, no, I get it.
All right.
He watches the cleric then goes back, but he kind of floats backwards into the temple and then closes the door.
Oh, creepy. It's so creepy. So are you, you can just flit about. I don't need to get a baby Bjorn or something for you, do I?
A what? No, you don't need no baby Bjorn. Look, the name's Spats, okay?
Nice to meet you, Spats.
Well, I wish it was the same. Now listen here.
I'm really sorry. So what's the deal?
Yeah, the deal is...
How come that happened?
I've been told to keep you alive. What that looks like...
Oh, well, good luck.
Yeah, look, I mean... I don't know if you realize this, but our kind, we don't usually focus on the living. We focus on, the stabbing of things. But what you need to know about me is I'm a devil, okay? I make contracts, I make deals, and I'm just fulfilling one, okay? We're not friends, okay?
Okay.
But I can stay out of your way for the most part until you need my help. You watch as he clicks his fingers, and he goes invisible.
He Spats.
Yeah.
Okay, just checking.
Look, I'm still here. I have to follow you, okay? I'm
okay.
contractually bound, okay?
Wait, so I can't ever have a private conversation?
Have you asked for one?
Oh, I can. Good.
Well, you don't need one, though. I mean, I don't... Look, I can't betray you, per se.
So you ever been to one of these seminars?
That is all he says.
I would take that as a yes.
Well, I mean, if it's got the pyrotechnics and everything, it might be really cool, guys. Do you think I've done something super bad here?
I think you've just done something super boring.
Okay.
Yeah. I think
that's all right then.
It's going to be
Just,
a hard sell.
Don't eat any of the snacks that they provide, and, don't take any of the literature.
Right.
As long as you don't sign anything, and definitely do not get a timeshare. I had an uncle that did that, and
Could never get rid of it, right? I've heard these stories.
he never used it.
That's true.
I feel like just saying the word yes at any point in time would be bad. Just
Okay,
don't say
I'll
the word
avoid
yes
that.
to anything.
I'll avoid that.
Just don't talk at all, really.
Fair. All right.
Look, you have
Shawnee.
if you want to make a deal, you have to offer it to me directly, and I can make stuff happen. If you want me to do something outside of what I've been told to do, which is I am here to make sure you attend that seminar. However, I can make you attend that seminar. Which means that so long as it's your intention to go and attend the seminar, I am on your side. You try and run, however, well, we have a very different type of conversation.
She's not going to run. She's going to attend. We keep our word.
Yeah. Also, I don't
Yeah,
help
no,
any
I
of
mean-
your friends here, okay? If your friends start to go, I mean, I am not obliged in any way to help them.
This could be handy, though. I rolled terribly, guys. This is going to be useful.
All right. Cool. He has constant. So what you know about imps, by the way, is that they can go invisible at will. They constantly detect magic. They have dark vision. They are quite resilient. They are very resistant to physical damage. They are weak to good and holy weapons, of course, and are completely immune to any type of fire.
Okay.
But yes.
So I could throw a fireball and it wouldn't hurt him.
No. No, not at all. Would
Or he carry one of the fireballs.
That's true.
Useful information.
It's like, hey, take this over
Man.
there. All right. But if you do want to instruct him to do something outside of his purview, he might try and make a deal with you.
No deals.
Understood.
All right. So yes, you.
My people are good with deals.
All right.
Do not make deals.
So Quinn, you have now got a companion named Spats, who, for the purposes of this, will remain like kind of in the back until he is addressed or spoken to. Like he's just following you guys always. Well, sorry, following Quinn
Okay.
specifically always.
Got it.
And is always invisible and
Invisibly.
yada yada yada.
That's not creepy at all.
Yeah. We'll say that we're gonna keep some distances of things. Like for example, Spats will not be around when you go to the shower or go to the bathroom or whatever. But when
Well,
you
I appreciate the clarification.
but when you're in bed, he will stay around because he doesn't need to sleep or anything like that. So he will stay around and kind of look after you while you're asleep. So in the event that you are ambushed, for example, Spats will alert you and things like that. So he will also serve as like an early warning alarm for various things.
Nice. All right. Might get used to this.
All right. Well, at the moment, you kind of get the impression, and this can go for everyone as well, you kind of get the impression that Barat is trying to leave a good impression with Quinn. He doesn't want to trick you into worshipping Asmodeus. He wants you to believe. He wants you to see the benefit of it, and the imp is kind of his way of like, do you see how beneficial it is to have someone subservient doing stuff for you?
Well, yeah, but I'm really
How helpful is that?
not liking the idea. It is helpful, but I
I-
don't really like the idea.
He's trying. He's being.
I know.
He's being.
I recognize what
yeah.
but the poor little guy doesn't want to be here.
True, but the poor little guy also wants to be in hell torturing people.
Okay, fair. So better with me then. Yeah,
Exactly.
All
When
right.
you put it that way.
Okay. Ishani is pleased. You have managed to go to all the temples, and hey, you haven't been attacked by homeless people, which is amazing. And you guys have done so much to help with the negotiations. Dante's friendship with old Dan, as well as Agnes's putting on the charms. Holly and Padrig and Quinn, both of you, all of you actually, with your talk with the Pharasman priestess, as well as this Asmodean who has taken a shine to Quinn. All of you guys have worked extra hard to help, and Ishani will offer you guys each a reasonable sum of 2 gold pieces, which is like 20 silver each. It's not a great deal, but it's like, hey, this is for helping us out a little bit. Now, as you begin to make your way back to the temple in order to continue, a bird flies in and leaves a note for you. It tells you that yourself and Ishani have been summoned to the citadel. What's the name of the citadel again? Volshnik, which is the town, the guard citadel.
Ah, excellent. I've been wanting to speak with her.
Who's Who's that, dear? Why are
Um,
birds delivering us messages? I've never. I mean, I know they do.
Cressida, Field Marshal Cressida Croft.
Oh, a friend of yours, is she?
Well, more of an acquaintance of
Oh.
ours. And that now includes you. I think you'll like her.
All right.
All right, so
Okay, sorry. We didn't. I just need to get this up and running. Okay. You begin to make your way to the Citadel, moving swiftly. As you make your way there are echoes of forcefully spoken but unintelligible words resounding off the imposing granite walls and iron bars of Citadel Volshnik. Dozens of red and silver armored guards stand in assembly upon a pitted stone, mustering around the courtyards of the Citadel. Before them, atop a weathered platform, paces Field Marshal Croft, her eyes arched sternly as she momentarily tolerates the crowd's murmuring. Behind her on the scaffold stand 3 grisly veteran guards at attention, as well as an ominous-looking group. These newcomers all wear cowled robes, oily-looking leathers and supple gloves, wide-rimmed hats, some gripping canes and others dark satchels. Each of them seem to watch the crowd through dark-goggled masks with that taper to a pointed beak. As they
like a plague doctor.
Do we
As-
recognize them?
they do look like plague doctors, and no, you do not recognize them. As you look over at them, Field Marshal Croft looks in your direction and kind of nods, as in, like, please, just stand here for a moment and we'll talk in a minute. The first of these individuals is a middle-aged gentleman in a simple black overcoat with streaks of white gracing the sides of his short dark hair. He watches the gathering of the guards with soft concern, his hands clasped tightly on a doctor's case. The second imposing figure is one of the new Grey Maidens. Clad in armor of resplendent plate and a crimson plume, these figures, but the field marshal, this doctor, and the Grey Maiden all strike an imposing visage. The field marshal's tone cuts through the rumbling and the whispers as she addresses the gathered guards. By the way, let me get the image here. Field Marshal Croft. There she is. Alright, listen up, guards. You will be escorting Dr. Devalius and his physicians in their royal duties wherever those may take them. Furthermore, from now, any orders that you will receive from the Queen's Grey Maidens are as binding as any of those by superior officers within the Korvosan Guards. You are the Korvosan Guard. You will not balk. And in these dire times, your city needs these healers. Your city needs you. Your patrols have been assigned. Dismissed! And you watch as the guards begin to escort these doctors and soldiers around.
Quinn's nostrils are flaring a little bit. She remains silent.
All right. As you do so, the guards begin to disperse. You see a notice. Oop, come back here, you. There we go. You see a notice that is posted in the courtyard. Attention. By decree of Her Royal Majesty, the Radiant Queen Iliosa, all citizens and members of the Korvosan Guard are to aid and admit the newly established Queen's physicians in this time of urgency. These royal agents will extend healing to all those who are ill and organize defense against the spreading affliction known as the Blood Veil. They are to be allowed access to any home or building they deem necessary in the course of their duties. All those suffering from disease or discord are to submit themselves to the physicians for treatment. To aid in the duties of the Queen's physicians, know that the Order of the Grey Maidens shall also provide military support as needed. The Grey Maidens answer directly to the Crimson Throne and will be called upon as necessary to augment and strengthen the peace in the city where the guards will not suffice. Impeding or distracting the Queen's physicians or the Grey Maidens in their pursuit of their duties is punishable by imprisonment. Impersonating one of the Queen's physicians or Grey Maidens is punishable by death. Knowingly harboring or hiding the infected is punishable by death. Purposefully spreading blood veil is punishable by torture, then death. The Queen's physicians will be making rounds of every city district henceforth until Her Majesty deems this misfortune has abated. And on these ominous words, we end today's session.
No.
All right.
There's a lot of death in that notice. There was a lot of death.
Lots of that. All right. Thank you very much, guys. I hope you guys had fun and enjoyed it. I know today was we didn't have much in the way of like combat or anything like that, but I thought you guys did absolutely amazing with your negotiations. Could have definitely gone a lot worse, but you guys hit all the... Because the way I normally do negotiations is I go, here are the key points. And you guys did the appropriate research, said all the right things. No one said something that was going to like piss off anyone. And yeah, you actually kind of nailed it. I think the only way you could have done any better is if you had caught that little Darrow assistant and had imprisoned him.
Yeah.
The only other thing you could have done is if you had him in prison, you would have gotten the Pharasmans today. But you're still well and truly on the right track for that one, which is great.
That may be the first time Patrick hasn't screwed up negotiations for us.
No one died.
Yes, no one died.
Or got shot.
All got shot. Yeah, that's true. But that is not to say that will always be the case. We will of course come back to find out what's happening. By the way, this is the other Grey Maiden that was on the stage with Cressida. And do I have a picture of the doctor?
I would suspect they're probably in a Plague Doctor mask.
No, he's the only one not wearing a Plague Doctor mask.
Oh, okay.
Here we go. Devolus? There we go. Yeah.
That's a name.
Yeah, so there we go. So this is the doctor that was on stage. This is the Grey Maiden that was on stage. And then of course you had Cressida also on stage as well. So these three of them are the noteworthy NPCs for this chapter.
Okay.
All right. Well, that was a lot of fun. We are going to go and raid someone now. But before we do, guys, anyone want to share a favorite moment from today?
Well, I think that we managed to talk our way successfully through every situation without any unintended side effects or consequences or blowing anything up or Holly getting eaten by anything. Really impressive for us.
I'm not gonna lie, I would have sworn up and down that you would have pissed off the Asmodean cleric. Like, I thought that was going to go so differently. Like, you guys were gonna like jump to like the defense of your friend and like be like, "Hey, buddy, listen here, you evil bastard, help us, or we're gonna shoot you."
No, they were perfectly willing to see me sell myself out for 3 days.
Yeah. No one.
It's a seminar. I mean, what could
in all
possibly go wrong
actuality, if
there?
it's just a
I was
seminar,
waiting
that's
for
a
you to
small
agree
price
to
pay.
join. She never agreed to join. She just said she was going to do the seminar, and that's what Holly was waiting for.
Yeah.
But she
Well,
never.
I personally am shipping old Dan Bailey and Agnes.
Agnes were my favorite part of it. Actually, the two of them flirting was fantastic and adorable.
It's very adorable. I did like that one because I mean I love that Agnes is like a middle-aged woman, and I love the fact that I was always thinking about it. I was like, you don't often like see people playing middle-aged characters, and it's like, well, I mean, how cute is that? Like, like Agnes has a life and a daughter and stuff like that, but she is single as far as I remember, unless I'm really outplaying it. And then I was like, when I created Dan, originally Dan was just like kind of this old salty kind of fisherman kind of character, and it was just like why wouldn't he find Agnes attractive? Like,
I mean, to be fair, I was gonna. If you hadn't flirted first, Agnes was gonna. So there we go.
But I think I like it as like kind of like this. It's an adult love. You know what I mean? Like it's like adult. Yeah. It's like adult. It's not like your teenage kind of like high school type thing. But it's like little blushes, your little kind of like tiny gestures. It was very sweet, and I definitely approve. I think it's amazing. So yay. All right, awesome. Yeah, I think my favorite moment probably is either the bit with Agnes, or the seduction of Barat with Isma when that happened, and I was like, why am I making myself awkward? Like, it's like I'm weirding myself out, and I'm just like, it's a very unusual feeling. So I quite enjoyed that. All right, we are going to go and raid Scarlet64, who is a friend of the channel. They are currently playing Out of the Abyss over on their Twitch channel. So be sure to give them all the love. Be sure to go and give them all the love hearts and the hype. We love to celebrate our fellow friends in the Twitch space, so be sure to do so. And guys, thank you for joining us. We hope that you enjoyed today. And till we meet again, as always, from us to you, game hard or die trying. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.